Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live again. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be here to do a Premier League preview with you guys. A red bearded preview, if you wanted to call it. So, guys, we are joined, as always, by my friend Doug, my favorite Liverpool fan, a man that knows his stuff when it comes to the Premier League, and I'm excited to be joined by him today. Doug, how you doing, bro?
I'm not too bad, Andrew. How are you? How are you coping with all the training at work?
I mean, it's literally up on my little computer here that I've got in front of me, but it's also got my notes. But so for now, work takes a break, and we're back, and we're going right into this because I'm stoked up for this week in the Premier League. We get 3 matches in a week, basically. It's gonna be kind of interesting. You get 2 Premier League matches and then an FA Cup matchup at the end of the week. So I'm stoked up for that. Chris, Mr. Exclusive, Craig, EB, good to see you guys. Good to see you. So we got to start off with the very first match of the week and a potential firing, depending on what the result is. Doug, Wolves at home against Leicester, and I think that we could be seeing the manager lose his job here. I mean, what do you think?
Absolutely. Leicester City, there's big rumours suggesting that Claude Puel could actually lose his job at the weekend. Obviously, if Leicester lose to Wolves, Brendan Rodgers is the favourite to take over, which does surprise me a little bit. But, he is needing a new challenge. He's done really well at Celtic. If he could come in and, reunite the squad, then I think he would do very, very well. If you're looking at the last 3 fixtures between these sides, it's a win for Wolves, a draw, 1 draw, and 1 win for Leicester. And the last game actually was a 2-0 win for Leicester in the Premier League. And I think Wolves ended up with 10 men that day as well. So, in Wolves' previous fixture at Molineux against Leicester City, they came from 3-0 down at half-time to win 4-3 at Molineux in October 2003. So I don't think there'll be many goals in this one, but a worrying stat for Wolves: 10 of the last 16 Premier League goals conceded by Wolves have come from set pieces, 4 corners, 4 free kicks, and 2 penalties. And Leicester have a chance of 3 wins in a row for the first time since April 2016 away from home. So I think there's a lot of speculation about Puel. I think Leicester are just not in the best of form at the moment. Very poor against Southampton. Obviously they did get the goal back, but apart from that, they were very, very poor. Wolves, very unlucky to lose 3-0 against Manchester City. Obviously, the red card changed the game.
Yep.
Probably was a red card in the end. I think it was a very, very high tackle. But obviously, if you want consistency, then obviously look at Vincent Kompany's tackle and Mohamed Salah, which arguably was a red card. But going back to this game, I think Wolves will get the win. And I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Wolves, and I will probably say that this is the end for Claude Puel.
And I'm going to agree with you there, Doug. It does seem like it's going to be the end for him. I mean, you talk about the fact that they haven't been able to find the form that you thought they'd be able to find. It's especially, for I'm not saying that something tragic automatically leads to, good results, but you would think that you could use that tragedy for getting more out of people. It feels like there's just something off right now. And I think that it's time to make a change. I do think that it is time to make a change. Reza, Pancaz, good to see you guys. And Craig, I don't know why it looks more red today, but I mean, it's there. It's there. But I'm personally going to go with a 2-1 win for Wolves. I'm going to say that Ruben Neves is going to have an extra great match And I think that we will wind up seeing Pujols he's going to be let go. And I think that it's time. You talk about a team that does still have good talent throughout it. I'm not saying that they should be like beating everybody, but they've been struggling against teams that do not have as much talent as them. And that right there says a lot about what a manager is getting out of everybody. So 2-1 is what I'm going to go with. You're going 1-0. And guys, if you want to have your score predictions read out, be sure to get them into the live comments, and I will get them read out for you guys for each of these matches. And I can promise you this week we will be getting in a review. My plan is to be live at least once a day this coming week because I've actually got the time to do it this coming week. So get your predictions in now. But guys, people are talking about the fact that Martial is close to signing a 5-year contract. It'd be exciting stuff, guys. It'd be really exciting, but I'm not going to react to it until I get official word from Manchester United because people make up stuff and I'm nervous about it. It's okay to talk about rumors, but to talk about a player re-signing a contract, I don't know. I'm hoping that he does. And from his comments, I would guess that it's probably true, but you never know. You do never know. So Evie went with a 3-2 win for Leicester. And it looks like he's going to be the only one to come up with a prediction for us, which that's okay, guys. So like I said, if you want to have your prediction read out here live with us, be sure to get your prediction in live. So we're going to move on to our next match, which is Bournemouth at home against West Ham. And I think that this is going to be a tough matchup for both sides. Real quick, I just wanted to say, so George Kyle went with a Leicester win. Pankaj went with a 1-1 draw. And Dan Jones, good to see you in here, man. It's really good to see you in here. So that can wait. Sorry, getting a phone call, guys. So Leicester is playing Wolverhampton Wanderers. So let's see. So Leicester, Jamie Pearson's going with a 2-1 win for Leicester. Honestly, this is going to be interesting because I really do think that if it is the end of the line for Puel, you'll see that how his players really do respect him in this match. I really believe that. And Dan Jones went with a 2-1 win for Wolves. So we'll move on to our next match. Bournemouth against West Ham. Bournemouth are at home. I had a tough time picking this matchup, and I've actually gone back and forth on my scores. Doug, what do you got for this matchup?
The last fight between Bournemouth and West Ham, it's 2 wins to Bournemouth, 2 draws, and a one win for West Ham. And actually, the last result between the sides, Bournemouth won 2-1 at the London Stadium. Bournemouth have actually won 3 of 7 Premier League meetings with West Ham. Callum Wilson has 5-5 against West Ham, more against any other side in the Premier League, but he is a doubt again. He missed the game last week against Everton, so that would be a bit of a blow as well. As far as West Ham, they've scored in all 12 of their meetings, netting 25 goals in total, and they're looking for 2 wins on the spin, while Bournemouth are looking for their first win in 5. Bournemouth, it's really, really hard to see. They've really gone off the boil. Bournemouth, is safe to say. Against Everton, they played very well in the first half. It was just the second half they kind of, they came out, and Everton were much better in the second half. Back in front of their home fans, they'll want to bounce back, most definitely. West Ham, fantastic win against Arsenal. I know Arsenal were not great, but West Ham played very, very well. But there is question marks over Marko Arnautovic and Javi Hernandez. Apparently, Javi Hernandez is interested in Valencia at the moment, which would be very interesting. And obviously, you've still got the uncertainty over Marko Arnautovic. Is he going to go to China? Is it another club? We don't know that. I have to go for West Ham because West Ham are in very, very good form at the moment. Bournemouth just need a break. They just need a win from somewhere. I don't think it'll be this weekend. I'm going for a 2-1 win to the Hammers.
And ultimately, that's what I wound up with too, because I feel like I've been picking Bournemouth a lot recently to finally get out of their slump, and I like honestly, like that's the thing is like I had a tough time picking this one because this is a matchup that I know Bournemouth has historically been better at recently than West Ham has, and so I'm going to say that Bournemouth. I don't think they're going to win this one. I think that they're going to continue down a losing path, and I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for West Ham as well. I don't know why. I feel like Bournemouth they need to find that win. They do need to find that win, and at the moment they're struggling to find it. They're they are not finding their form and the form that they need to have. So it's going to be interesting to see if Bournemouth can finally get back onto form and take a match that they need to take, because this match could go either way. If Bournemouth come out and play the way that we know that they should be able to, there's no reason for them not to be winning this matchup. But I'm not going to pick against West Ham at the moment. And Felipe Anderson probably going to have a big game against Bournemouth. I look at the matchup and I think West Ham are going to take it, guys. So we've got, let's see here. I know that George did predict a Bournemouth win at 1-0. Dan Jones said he's going 3-1 West Ham. Pancaz went with a 3-1 win for West Ham. Jamie Pearson said, I think it'll be 1-1 draw the West Ham game, which I could see as well. Evie went with a 4-0 win for West Ham. Like I said, I like big score lines. I always do, guys. And then let's see here. Bournemouth have been struggling when West Ham are playing really well. And that's exactly right, Dan. That's exactly right. So, Doug, let's go ahead. Let's move on to our next matchup, Liverpool, Crystal Palace. I think there's no way that Liverpool don't come out of this one with a win. How do you got it going, Doug?
Well, the last 5, Liverpool have won 4, and obviously Crystal Palace have won 1. The last meeting was a 2-0 win to Liverpool. Crystal Palace were the last team to actually beat Liverpool at Anfield. That was the 23rd of April 2017 in a 2-1 victory where Christian Benteke scored both and Felipe Coutinho was the Liverpool goal scorer that day. And actually, that was also the last game where Crystal Palace goalkeeper Julian Speroni actually made his last Premier League appearance. And he is going to play this weekend. So there we go. Sadio Mane has 6 goals against Crystal Palace, more than against any other side. This might be a bit of an interest. Palace have won 3 out of the last 4 at Anfield, although they were beaten last season by a 0-0. Mane getting that goal as well. And also, the Eagles are looking for a 3rd consecutive win away from home for the first time since February 2015. It was safe to say it was a very, very tight match at Brighton. I think, credit to Brighton, they did give us a lot of problems. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he was injured in the warm-up against Brighton, but he did go on to play the game. Now, there's been lots of reports saying that he is out of this match. However, Jurgen Klopp actually said in the press conference today that he could actually be fit. So we'll wait and see. As far as this match is concerned, Palace were very poor against Watford. They're crying out for a striker because they're struggling. They're really, really struggling for goals. And to be honest, I think the 3-1 win that they got at the Etihad has been a bit of a one-off, because since then they've really, really struggled, and they are struggling for goals at the moment. And you look at the news that obviously Cardiff have signed Emiliano Sala from Nantes for 18 million. Crystal Palace would be crying out for a striker like that. So I think Palace do need to bring bodies in. But obviously they will be playing Julian Speroni because Vicente Guaita and Wayne Hennessy are both injured for this game. I have to back Liverpool. Only 3 goals conceded at home all season. I actually think that it will be a very tricky game. Palace always give us a hard game, but I just can't see Palace scoring in this game. They usually do against Liverpool, but I just think with their recent troubles in front of goal, I think Liverpool will win this match, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Liverpool.
I like some of the banter going on in the live comments because we obviously have a lot of Manchester United fans following us. So it's kind of funny. Obviously Crystal Palace, they pulled out a huge victory against Manchester City. But like you mentioned, Doug, they haven't followed up on that form. They haven't followed up on and they needed to. They needed to follow up on that, and they didn't. It's like it's ultimately like Manchester City basically had the letdown in form rather than Crystal Palace brought up their form to a level that they needed to. So I personally do see Crystal Palace giving you guys a decent game. I mean, like you mentioned, I know going back a few years, Crystal Palace have given you guys problems. So it's a match that should be interesting to watch. But I'm going to go with a 2-0 win as well for Liverpool. I just think that Liverpool, against Crystal Palace, a side that really is struggling to find its form, I don't see them losing this matchup. So, I mean, I hate saying that because I want Liverpool to obviously slip and start dropping some points, but I don't see this being the match to do it. So Dan Jones by the way, what's up, Carl? Good to see you, man. Dan Jones went with a 3-0 win for Liverpool. George Kyle said Palace 1,000,000%, same as 2014. Pankaj went with a 1-1 for Liverpool, or a 1-1 draw. Jamie went with a 1-0 win for Palace with Townsend scoring a banger. I hope. Carl went with Palace to win. George Kyle said 2014 Liverpool raced into a 3-goal lead, and then the title bus lost its wheels. And he said, yes, I know it was 3-3 in 2014. Lightning striking twice, Doug. Liverpool lost in coming. Dan Jones said Kristen Bull. Yes, Kristen Bull, of course. Let's see here. Guys, I mean, obviously for us Manchester United fans, we do want Liverpool to bottle it. I mean, rivalries. I mean, I don't want Liverpool winning any match, but I don't see them losing this one. I just don't. Salah slipping on his butt and Palace scoring the late winner. And so now we're gonna have a new Slippy G apparently, Doug. That's what I'm getting from Jamie. But guys, I mean, real talk. I mean, Liverpool, they should be beating Crystal Palace. They just should. So we'll move on to our next matchup: Manchester United, Brighton and Hove Albion. Manchester United at home. Doug, how do you got it going, man?
I mean, Manchester United against Brighton. I mean, interestingly enough, Brighton have actually won the last 2 games against Man United. Both at the Amex as well. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is seeking to become the first Manchester United manager to win his first 6 league matches in charge. Also, Paul Pogba can become only the second United player to score at least twice in 3 consecutive Premier League home matches after Cristiano Ronaldo. Like I said, Brighton have won the last 2 games against Manchester United, but are looking for their first win away at a top 6 side at the 9th attempt. I don't see it happening this weekend. What can I say? Manchester United thoroughly deserve to win at Tottenham. I know people will say, okay, De Gea saved. A certain Arsenal fan was very, very salty. On UFF Daily said Spurs 0 De Gea 1, which I thought was absolutely horrendous. And then he comes out with absolute rubbish like, oh, Manchester United spent loads of 400 million, so they should be right beside Arsenal. I honestly, I do not know how DT is that salty, but yeah, he is very, very salty. But no, I thought Manchester United first half, especially, I thought they were very, very good. Deserved to go in front at the break as well. And actually, for people saying that Phil Jones was going to have a disaster, I thought he actually defended pretty well against Tottenham. But like you said, De Gea was probably the best player of on that day. The Martial news coming out, obviously that'll boost Manchester United as well. Brighton, like I said, they were very unlucky to lose to Liverpool the other day. But the thing with Chris Hughton is that Brighton don't seem to be getting beat by many this season. They've definitely toughened up at the back. I don't see them scoring at Old Trafford, quite frankly, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 Manchester United win.
So, I mean, Doug, I'm actually not far off of you. So I'm going with a 3-0 win for Manchester United. Matthew McFadden and I will be going live 9 p.m. UK time, just so you guys know, to do Manchester United's preview. I will give you a lot more in that preview at 9 p.m. But I look at this matchup. It's Manchester United. It's Brighton and Hove Albion. It's the team that Mourinho struggled against, and we've got no excuse to be struggling against. So I've got every confidence that Ollie will win 7 out of 7 and 6 out of 6 in the Premier League. So, guys, get behind it now. I'm going 3-0 win. That's all I'm going to give you until we do our preview later on. So, let's see here. Jamie Pearson went with a 3-1 win for United. So here's a fun fact from George. He said, "Did you know that the Liverpool versus Chelsea match is in exactly the same place in I think game 35 again as it was in 2014?" Which that is an interesting fact if that is the case. Dan Jones went with a 2-1 win for United. He thinks it's going to be a tough game. George Kyle did say United easy win. And he said George Kyle's going 5-0 for Manchester United. That's a big win. I like that. Pancaj is going with a 4-0 win for Manchester United. Again, big win. Dan Jones is saying sorry, Van Hall. Like it's Sarri. Sorry, Van Hall. Yeah, exactly, Dan. And then guys, this is a match Manchester United should win without problems. So we'll move on to our next matchup, which is going to be Newcastle, Cardiff. Doug, how do you got it going, man?
What a big game. 18th versus 17th in the Premier League. There's only been 3 meetings between the sides in the top flight. 2 wins for Newcastle, a draw in there, and obviously the last game was a 0-0 draw against between the sides as well. And if you're looking at omens for this game, it should be a Newcastle win. However, Newcastle won 17 out of 18 home games with Cardiff, 7 in the top flight. By an aggregate score of 23-0. But Cardiff are looking for their second successive top flight victory away from home since 1957. So, Newcastle were played okay against Chelsea. It has to be said. They were very very stubborn at the back. They did have the FA Cup replay against Blackburn. 3 of their players actually came off injured in that game, and one of them was Jamal Lascelles, who is, I think, out with a hamstring injury now. That is a big blow for Newcastle. He's our captain as well. So, but if you're looking at Cardiff, you know they're obviously buying Emiliano Sala from Nantes for 18 million. They've also got Oumar Niasse from Everton on a 6-month loan deal. So you know he will probably go straight into the side. Now we like shock wins. I have a feeling that with the uncertainty over Newcastle, because I actually think Newcastle's last victory at home was the Bournemouth match, and I think that came back way back in November. I'm actually going to go for Cardiff to get their second successive top-flight victory since 1957. I'm going for a Cardiff win, 1-0. I don't think there'll be many goals in it. I think it'll be a very, very tight match, but I've got Cardiff just sneaking this one.
And you know, I had to go with the draw for this one. I'm going with a 1-1 draw. I feel like with the run of play, both teams where they're currently at in the table, I think a 1-1 is a very fair result for both sides. I know that Newcastle right now, they're struggling. They're struggling at the moment. It's just the truth. And but I also look at Cardiff. They're doing the same thing. They're struggling. They're struggling to come up with points. They're struggling to come up with wins. I don't see any way that we're able to get anything. I don't even think this is going to be a very good match. I think this is going to be a relatively boring match. I mean, like George Kyle said, both sides are toothless, which is absolutely true. I mean, I don't see this being a fun match to watch. And, you know, I say if either team is going to pull out a win, it'd be Newcastle, but I'm just going with a draw. I feel like a draw would be a fair result for both sides. So we've got Dan Jones went with a 0-0. George Kyle went with a draw as well. Let's see. Cardiff play long ball, so I'm going Newcastle. Pancage went with a 1-0 for Newcastle. Lascelles is class. I used him in FIFA 17 career mode. He grew to 85. That's interesting. So Dan Jones said, so hold on. If Neil Warnock is so pro-Brexit and hates the rest of the world, why is his record signing from a foreign league? Fair question, Dan. Fair question.
That is a very good point, Dan. That is a very, very good point. Look, Neil Warnock, he's one of a kind, isn't he? You know,
he's an interesting character.
Comes out with some weird random stuff. Actually, if you look at people who've gone for Newcastle win, they've actually scored the most headed goals this season out of any team in the Premier League. So they could easily win this game through a header.
And I could see it happening too. Ali said, I can't wait for Sanchez to shine. I think he's talking about Alexis Sanchez. I mean, I don't think any of us can, Ali. Vince Russo, because he only says those opinions for attention. I actually could believe that. And then George Kyle did say Warnock is another nothing manager, which again I agree with. So Doug, we'll go ahead. We'll move on from this matchup. We've got Southampton against Everton in a match of what essentially is two mid-table sides. Doug, how do you got it going, man?
Fantastic victory for Southampton last time out at Leicester. This matchup, actually, Southampton 2 wins, Everton 2 wins, and there's been a draw in the last 5. And the last win was Everton 2-1 victory. Saints have won the 3 of the last 6 Premier League matches under Ralph Hasenhüttl, as many as they had in the previous 28 in the Premier League. And Shane Long's next goal will be his 50th. For Southampton in 283 matches if he scores a weekend. And this is interesting. Everton have not won on the South Coast in 9 games since August 2015. So they've got a rotten record at Southampton. Like I said, Southampton were very good last week against Leicester. Obviously, they got knocked out of the FA Cup midweek, a 2-2 draw, and then obviously they lost on penalties to Derby County. The only thing I can say about Southampton is their Achilles heel this season is definitely their home form. They're much better away from home. So Everton will probably want to capitalise on that. Everton, very good win against Bournemouth. Theo Walcott has 3 goals in 3 matches against Southampton, so he's got a good record scoring against his old club. But I can't separate these two. The way that both teams are playing, they're kind of in pretty good form, both of them. Southampton obviously winning against Leicester, and obviously Everton winning against Bournemouth. I can't separate them. I'm going for a 1-1.
I had a hard time being able to come up with a separation between the two as well, especially because Southampton under Hasenhüttl have come into good form. They really have. They're playing 10 times better than they have been. They're playing some very expansive football, and they're countering very, very well. It's something that I've noticed Hasenhüttl really work on during his tenure so far. But Everton, I mean, they do have some quality in their side. Bernard is a class example of that. They obviously added Richarlison in the summer, and Richarlison has been proving that he needed to go to a bigger club. I wouldn't be surprised to see him even try and move on to an even bigger club very, very soon. I would say maybe not this summer, but maybe next summer would be his time to move on to an even bigger club. But I think that ultimately it's going to be a very, very close matchup. I almost went with a 2-2, but I am going to go with an Everton 2-0 win. 2-1 win against Southampton. I'm going with an Everton 2-1 win against Southampton. And I think that Everton will ultimately prove to be the better side, but not by much. It's going to be a close matchup, a very, very close matchup. George Kyle said Southampton win. Pankaj went with a 3-3 draw. That would be a fun matchup. Let's see here. George Kyle said, Doug, you should go on Football Focus with all these stats. I agree, George. Statman Doug is official. I'm surprised he hasn't changed his Twitter name yet. So Matthew McFadden.
No, I have.
Oh, you have?
I have. Yeah, it was actually thanks to Mr. Exclusive for actually posting that. He actually messaged me and said, "Oh, you should get that in your Twitter name." So. Yeah, it's in there.
Oh, I thought you were going to change your @ handle possibly, but that's my bad. So Matthew McFadden said Shane Long has scored his last 4 goals under different managers. That's interesting.
Yeah, Claude Puel, Mark Hughes, Ralph Hasenhüttl, and who's the other one? Poch, I think.
Yes. Ollie said, I can see lots of goals here. I think it's going to be a narrow unless it's a 0-0. Vince Russo said 3-0 Everton. They smash mid-table teams, which that does tend to be true, Vince. That you bring up a very good point with that. I have noticed that when Everton go up against mid-table teams, it seems like they smash them. It does happen more often than not. Always go home team if unsure, George Kyle said, which I normally do. But it's because I do notice that Everton do play well against mid-table sides. That's the only reason why I didn't. Vince Russo said if Everton keep making good signings, they will take over Arsenal's place in top 6. Yes, if Everton can come up with another signing maybe in January, maybe they will be the 6th place team instead, which would be awesome. Let's see here. So we'll go ahead and read out. That seems like it's everything for everybody. Let's go ahead. Let's move on to Watford against Burnley. And I mean, we talked about it already, Doug. I mean, Burnley they are struggling, and Watford are not. So how do you see this going?
Well, the last 5, this actually surprised me a little bit. There's 2 wins to Watford and 3 wins to Burnley, which is quite interesting. The last game actually was a 3-1 win for Watford at Burnley. This is an outrageous stat I have actually came up with of all Troy Deeney's goals in his 123 Premier League appearances. He has only scored 1 goal with his left foot.
Hmm.
So, and also Burnley are looking for their first 3 wins in the top flight in a calendar year for the first time since 1958. Burnley were very fortuitous the last time out against Fulham. No shots on target, but yet they win the match 2-1. Because that was because of Fulham winning. Fulham scoring all 3 goals. Obviously, Schürrle scored for Fulham, and then obviously they scored 2 own goals. But one should be Jeff Hendricks, because that looks like it is going in. So that obviously that one shot on target for Burnley. Very good win for Watford last time out against Crystal Palace as well. But yeah, like you say, Burnley. It's quite surprising where they are. Watford, we all know that they started really, really well, but obviously they've kind of fallen away a little bit. I don't think there'll be many goals in this game again. I'm going to go for a narrow home win. I'm going 1-0 Watford.
1-0 Watford. All right. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 for Watford. I think that Watford will play better in this matchup. Obviously, I mean, like I said earlier, Burnley just have been struggling this entire year. And I think that Watford, coming off of what they have been, I think that you're going to see their quality come through, and you're going to see all of their best players actually start to shine again for at least a little bit. I could even see, I'll definitely say Watford will finish inside of the top 10 sides. I think that that's almost a guarantee. And honestly, and Doug, we could talk about this maybe another day, but I mean, there has been talks of adding an additional European competition for the 7th and 8th place teams, which I think could be interesting, because then you could maybe see sides like Watford, like Bournemouth, really competing for European football, which could be very interesting. But I will go with a 2-0 Watford win. Pancakes should say, Andrew, I can see Arsenal out of Europa, which I could see. I could see that happening. Pancakes went with a 2-1 win for Watford. George Kyle said Watford win. Ollie said Watford has to win. He's thinking maybe 2-0. Burnley need to bring in Arsene Wenger. I mean, honestly, not a bad thought. I could, if he wants to come back and manage, that's not a bad spot for him to go to. AFAF said Manchester United need to go to 5th place tomorrow. Yes, which we're about to talk about that matchup coming up next. George Kyle said, I think it's Fernig Puskas. I don't know. I know Puskas, but I don't know how to say the first name. I'm sorry. Only used his left foot even when he was juggling the ball, juggling the bar of soap in the shower, doing keepy uppies. That's good. That's good, George. That's good. Vince Russo said, "Wait, if Chelsea win the Europa League, does 5th place get a Champions League spot? If you win the Europa League, you do get a Champions League spot. I believe you're treated like a 2nd place team in the Champions League, correct, Doug?"
I think so. Yeah, I think so. It's changing. It's changing every year, because obviously with United winning it in 2015-2016, they obviously went straight through to the group stage of the Champions League. So I don't know if they actually, if you win it, then you go straight to the Champions League group stage. I think that's what happens. But yeah, it is changing every single year. So I wouldn't have a clue, I'm afraid, to say at the moment. But yeah, I think there's probably more chance of Chelsea winning the Europa League than Arsenal, I would say.
I agree with that. And George, that's something that we definitely will talk about another day. George said he thinks that the best idea is a Champions League place for whoever wins the FA Cup instead of whoever gets 4th, which I agree with. I actually agree with. It makes it so the FA Cup becomes something that is worth playing for.
That is a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. But so Doug, we'll go ahead and we'll move on. We'll move on to this matchup, which honestly, Arsenal-Chelsea, it's a big, big matchup, and I had a hard time picking this one, but I do ultimately think that Manchester United will wind up in 5th place by the end of the day. That's what I will say for now. So, Doug, how do you see this match going?
Is it really harsh calling Arsenal banter FC again, because they kind of last 5 Chelsea 2 wins, 2 draws, and there's been an Arsenal win. Obviously, the last game between the sides was 3-2 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Like I said earlier, Arsenal were dire against West Ham. Completely dire. I don't know if it was because of the team selection, because obviously they had Lucas Torreira on the bench. I think they had Ainsley Maitland-Niles playing, which just I think Emery got his tactics wrong in that game. But West Ham did deserve to win. The funny thing was, if you keep Aubameyang quiet, Arsenal don't perform. And Aubameyang was really poor at West Ham. So was Lacazette as well. There's big problems with Arsenal. Mesut Ozil, is he going? Is he staying? It'll be interesting to see if he actually plays this game. But you have to say that it's a very, very tricky match to call.
Yeah.
Because both sides. Chelsea won 2-1 against Newcastle. They have now got Higuain, but he won't be ready for tomorrow. I think he'll be ready for the FA Cup match. It looks like they are going to get rid of Morata, which I think has been needed doing for absolute ages, because Morata is just not a Chelsea striker.
Nope.
The amount of chances he misses as well. Chelsea are aiming to do a Premier League double over Arsenal for a 5th time, matching Liverpool and Manchester United's totals. And also, Olivier Giroud could also become the 2nd player to score in an Arsenal-Chelsea match for both clubs. The last one was obviously Cesc Fabregas as well. And if you want stats, Aubameyang and Eden Hazard have got Chelsea and Arsenal the most points this season, with Aubameyang getting 12 points and Hazard getting 10. So, I think probably you would probably expect them to both play. Do you know what? It's a really, really hard one to call, but again, I can't separate them. I really, really can't. So I'm going to go for another draw, 1-1. I cannot separate Arsenal and Chelsea at this moment, and quite frankly, I think it'll be a very, very tight game. I think both teams will want to be very, very, very compact in defence, and I can't see either of them keeping a clean sheet. So yeah, I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
And a 1-1 draw would be a fair result, considering the fact that both teams, like you did mention before, are struggling at the moment. They can't manage to find their form. Go figure that both Hazard and Morata, are missing. Morata, which I did say, AFF, I did see you say that Morata is Lukaku-esque. That's unfair to Lukaku, because at least Lukaku scores goals. Morata can't even score goals. Get it right for him. I'm not saying Lukaku is by any means, the best player in the world, but I'll take Lukaku over Morata any day of the week and all day Sunday. All day Sunday.
I think Lukaku scored more goals than Morata this season anyway. So
yep.
Yeah, Lukaku is better than Morata. But going back to Chelsea's Morata, the curse of the number 9 shirt at Chelsea is quite damning, because if you think about the last couple of players to actually wear the number 9 as a striker, Morata, Torres, Kejman, they've all struggled.
So I'm sorry, I was reading something here, Doug, and I actually think that it might be kind of a fair deal, because I know that Conte isn't necessarily in the greatest of favor of Sarri. I mean, obviously Sarri appreciates having him, but possibly a Lukaku for Conte swap deal. I would assume that maybe some cash would be involved in that. But I would take that as a Manchester United fan. I take that all day long. All day long if I got Conte for Lukaku. All day long. But I am going to go with a 1-2. Sorry, I'm going to go with a 2-1 Chelsea win. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Chelsea win, and here's why. Yes, both sides have been struggling. And honestly, I could see this being a 0-0 or a 1-1. Both, honestly, I prefer the draw. As a United fan, I'd prefer the draw. That would get us to fourth place quicker. But I think that Chelsea, I think Hazard is going to actually finally turn up in a game. You know, I still don't understand how Hazard gets the ratings that he does. It blows my mind. Like I see him in like FIFA Ultimate Team of the Year, like it rated like 92, 94. Like I don't understand it. Personally, I don't understand it. I don't feel he deserves those ratings. Don't get me wrong, when he's hot, he's one of the most unstoppable players in the league. But he's hot for maybe 2 months out of the year. And that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't understand it. I just don't. So let's see. We've got Vince Russo went with a 5-0 win for Chelsea. I like it. Bold scoreline prediction. Arsenal win. Bet my house on it. George Kyle said. Which, George, if you bet your house on it, let me know. You might need a place to come stay after that. So you're always welcome with me in Arizona. Peg guys went with a 2-2 win for a 2-2 draw. AFAF said both teams need to drop points. I want to draw. Dan Jones went with a 1-1 draw. George Kyle actually was talking about Higuain, which I did think that he wasn't going to be available for this match. Let's see here. Ali said, I think both will try not to lose a single point. They will play in an extremely careful way. I think it's 0-0 because they know that United are coming, which, Ali, that's fair. I could see this ending off 0-0. I really could. Dan Jones said a draw is the perfect result for us, which is very, very true. And Vince, thank you for that idea about the Lukaku and Conte swap deal, because I would love to see that. Absolutely love to see that. I'd give Lukaku plus an additional $20 million for Conte. That's just me personally. Jay Hart, good to see you in here. Jay Hart said, I want a 2-0 Chelsea win. I can't wait to see the blow up for FTV. Yes, obviously. And Dan Jones, 100%. It is crazy how Hazard is ever mentioned in the same breath as Messi or Ronaldo. Never should that ever happen. Ever. It's ridiculous. But we might wind up seeing Hazard go to Real Madrid in this offseason, which I think is finally going to happen. And then we'll see how he actually does. Who's the third best in the world? De Gea. De Gea is the third best player in the world. I take it to the bank. I think that 100% De Gea is the third best player in the world. And that's crazy to think that a keeper could be the third best player in the world, but it's true. Just my opinion, though. So, guys, we'll go ahead. Let's move on to a matchup, which, Doug, I honestly feel like we don't even really need to talk about. Huddersfield, Manchester City. I'm calling big win Manchester City.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's safe to say that the City will probably win this one, probably very, very comfortably. Obviously, Huddersfield parted company with David Wagner at on Monday. All I can say about David Wagner, it just shows how class a guy he really is. You know, to go to Huddersfield and say he would still be in charge until the end of the season. But then obviously he's gone to them and he's asked them for a break. But you cannot fault the guy's achievements at Huddersfield.
No.
When he took over, they were very, very close to the relegation zone. He managed to keep them up in the Championship. Next season, he got on to the playoff final against Reading, And actually, with a negative goal difference, they actually went up with a negative goal difference. So obviously, they won on penalties against Reading. And then, they came into the Premier League. He kept them up first time of asking with a 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge as well. It just hasn't happened for Huddersfield this season. But all credit to David Wagner. And do you know what? He will be definitely sought after by a few clubs after a sabbatical, without a shadow of a doubt. This is quite scary. Manchester City have scored 19 goals in their last 3 matches, one more than Huddersfield in their last 36 outings. That is pretty scary.
Yeah.
And also, Mark Hudson, the Tenerife caretaker manager, he has taken charge of the team this season. He played 9 Premier League matches for Crystal Palace and Cardiff, with his record reading: no wins, 1 draw, and 8 defeats. So it doesn't look good for Huddersfield. And also, Jason Puncheon will make his 200th Premier League appearance if he faces Manchester City. But I have to say, I cannot see anything other than Manchester City win. I think it'll be a comfortable win. I'm going for a 2-0 win for Manchester City, but I think it's a case of how many Manchester City want to get. And actually, Sergio Aguero has a very good goal scoring record against Huddersfield, so don't be surprised if he scores, because he actually got a hat-trick in the 6-1 win back in August.
Yeah, I look at this matchup, Doug. I see a big win for Manchester City. I'm going to go with a 4-0 win for Manchester City. I don't think there's any way that Huddersfield will even trouble Manchester City. So this is just my personal opinion. I feel like there's really not much to talk about after that. Which, by the way, you do have some people that are apparently sucking up to you, Doug, and they're saying that Van Dijk is probably the 3rd best player in the world. Blasphemy from any Manchester United fan. Even Doug can admit De Gea, 3rd best player in the world. Come on now. Let's be realistic. It's probably Neymar. It's probably Neymar who's the 3rd best player in the world if we're wanting to be serious. As much as I hate the guy.
No. If there's any award that Neymar deserves to get, it's the Fall on the Floor award. It's the Fall on the Floor award.
Well, I think you can make the argument for Kylian Mbappe possibly being the 3rd best player in the world. At the moment, you could make that argument, but I'm still going to go with De Gea as 3rd best player in the world. So Jack Coleman said 78-0 for Manchester City. That's quite an impressive scoreline. If we get that, I don't even know what to think at that point. Just give City the league just for scoring 78. I don't know. Like, that's weird. Then Saban said 5-0. J Hart said City might break another record, possibly 10-0. I don't see them scoring more than 6 in this matchup. I mean, if they do, good on them. Obviously, you guys can see Arthur's in the frame right now. By the way, we did have somebody say stop. Good timing for George about the whole Van Dijk possibly being the 3rd best player in the world, and then George did say he's sucking up to Doug, which that's fair. That's fair. Saban jokingly did say Huddersfield to win 3-2. Don't see it happening, man. But he did say 7-0 wound up being the score that he was going to give. You think, Sav? No way do I see Huddersfield scoring. No way do I see Huddersfield scoring. Dan Jones said City 5-0. J Hart did say Mbappe better than Neymar.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Then Pancaz went with a 7-0 win for City, which honestly, if they win 7-0, good on them, because that's what a team like Manchester City should be doing to a bottom team in the league. So, Doug, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to our very last matchup of the week. A matchup that became more interesting now that Son is gone and Harry Kane is now out injured until March. I don't think that Tottenham will lose this matchup by any means, but it does become more interesting. Fulham are at home against Tottenham. Doug, how do you see it going?
Wow, yeah, like you say, it was a very interesting match with obviously Son and Kane being out of this match. Obviously, Son being at the Asian Cup, and like you say, Kane being out till March. Spurs have won more away matches this season than any other side, with 10. And they've also won 9 of the last 10 meetings with Fulham. The only defeat coming back in March 2013, which was in White Hart Lane, quite interestingly enough. Alexander Mitrovic could become the 4th player to score in his first 4 Premier League matches against Spurs after Mark Bright, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Obafemi Martins. And also Spurs were unbeaten in the last 20 Premier League away matches against promoted sides. So the omens are not looking good for Fulham.
No, they're not. They're really not.
However, having said that, Tottenham are looking a little bit tired to me. I think they did everything that they could last week to break down Manchester United and obviously break down De Gea, but they couldn't get past them. Obviously, Harry Kane being injured is a big blow. I think you'll probably see either Llorente or maybe Christian Eriksen / Dele Alli as a false 9, because I'm not sure that Vincent Janssen is in contention for Tottenham at all. I think Pochettino actually said in his press conference, I think he was asked about Vincent Janssen's chance. Is there any chance of Vincent Janssen coming back into the team fold? And Poch basically just said straight away, Vincent Janssen is not on my plans. So I think that's safe to say that he'll be on the way out. Fulham, how can you lose a game where you basically dominate and basically Burnley have no shots on goal, but yet you give 2 own goals to Burnley? Absolutely ridiculous. Right. So you see Tottenham winning this?
No, without a problem.
I'm actually thinking that this will be a shock victory just because of Tottenham's striker problems. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Fulham, and it'll be a massive victory and a massive weight off their shoulders for Claudio Ranieri's side. I'm going 2-1 Fulham.
Well, I mean, if Fulham do pull out a big win like that, that could be the turning point that they've finally been waiting for. We all know that Fulham should be better than they are based on the players that they have, but they just have been struggling this year. They really have been, and that's why I'm not going to pick for them. I'm done picking for them. Maybe it'll be better off if I am done picking for them. It feels like any time that I kind of try and pick the underdog, it winds up biting me in the butt. So I am going to go with a 2-0 win for Tottenham. I think even with Kane and Son gone, you've still got Eriksen and Dele Alli who could step up. Now is the time, and Doug, you and I were talking about it privately earlier in the week, but I mean, they've still got Lamela, who is somebody that has done good things for Spurs. He has not been good recently. Has not.
He was absolutely dreadful against Manchester United.
Yes, he was.
He could have been easily subbed on and then subbed off. He was that bad. Yeah,
and then like Dan said, I mean, like you do have Lucas Moura as well. So I mean, they still do have quality in the side. I see no way that Tottenham will lose this matchup. Fulham, they've got to unless they find their form before the end of the year, I do think that they will get relegated. Obviously, they have a new manager in Ranieri, but I don't get it. I just don't get it, guys. But let's see what you guys have to say. So we've got George Kyle who went with a Fulham win. That would be interesting. Like Doug said, that would be a shock victory. Dan Jones said, I'm going 2-2. That would be interesting as well. Jay Hart said Spurs are going down faster than a returning rocket ship, which I could see as well. Sav did say 2-1 Spurs. Lots of pressure on Dele Alli now. Yes, very, very true, Sav. Pankaz went with a 2-1 win for Fulham. Jay Hart went with a 1-1 draw. Let's see here. Nick, it's okay, man. So we're actually going to be going live here in about an hour to do our Manchester United preview. So you didn't fully miss the show, or miss. You didn't fully miss everything. So we will do one more show today. Let's see here. Anybody else? Jay Hart did say Fulham have screwed up their transfers in this summer. A few good buys, but no idea on how to integrate them in properly. Then Nick Archer did say Spurs Fulham will be a draw at 1-1. And then Saab did say if Spurs could finish better than they did last week, they could win easily. Eriksson, Llorente, Ali, and Mora have the ability to score a few, which is very true. So guys, we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up there. I've got to get this next stream set up too. So guys, Doug, thank you, sir, for joining me. I love your stats that you bring to the show. Statman Doug, give Statman Doug a follow if you are not already. Twitter is in the description below. But Doug, anything you want to shout out, my friend?
Yes, I've been meaning to say this actually. Right, the 8th of April 2019, I will be doing a 10-hour radio show from 10 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night for Autism Awareness Week live on Sam Radio. So it's my biggest challenge. I've never done anything like that before, so I am very, very excited. So we will be putting up a sponsor sheet as soon as we can. I will obviously keep everyone posted for that, and obviously if anyone wants to sponsor us, then that would be absolutely fantastic. But yeah, just keep following me on Twitter. I think I may actually have to change my name to Statman Doug. I do like that.
It's got a nice ring to it, man.
It does, but no, it's always a pleasure, and another fantastic stream. And honestly, keep following Andrew, because his YouTube channel is building up a fantastic community, and just keep enjoying the streams because they're very, very entertaining. I really like the goalkeeping one yesterday, and quite frankly, everyone would say that, obviously, I'm going to say Schmeichel is the best Man United goalkeeper. It's quite interesting because I was actually born on the night of the 1992 European Championship final between Denmark and Germany.
Interesting.
So. Yeah, but
more stats, guys. More stats.
But thank you once again, and keep following this guy. Keep following this guy on Twitter, and keep following him on YouTube because he is awesome.
I really do appreciate that, Doug. Thank you. And guys, you'll see us live back again, Matthew and myself. As long as Matthew's still able to do it, I have to check my phone because it has been buzzing. But as long as Matthew's able to do it, he'll be live with me. But either way, going live again to do our Manchester United preview. We got to do it. And then, guys, just so you know, we have a very, very interesting show idea for next week for our weekly Manchester United show. There's a possibility that Sophie might be joining us. It'll be a big show. It'll be a big show, and it'll be a good way to get a lot of people involved. So we'll see if it actually comes true. Saab did say Stat King, Doug. I love it. But, guys, you'll see us live here in about an hour. Matthew, myself, Doug, again, thank you for joining me, sir. And just, guys, I hope that you have a great night, a great day, wherever you're at, whatever you are doing. Keep doing you because I love you, and you guys are awesome. We'll see you in about an hour.